time we've had a water break there, and it takes time for to put material in there and for it to settle. And we have had a couple of estimates to fix that, and we have an estimate from Kosing of $30,000, and then we have another estimate from Shelley Company for $45,000. It's not going to be an easy fix. We put the Durapatcher out there and did a decent job on it to stop the dust. We were getting complaints from Matthews Ford about that, so we went out there and did some things on that. But we had a department head meeting today. I talked to Johnny from the water department, and I think we're in agreement of fixing that. But some of the conversation was, should we at some point abandon the water line that's been set underneath the road on 79 to a new water line? That we can go ahead and do this the fixing of the road. But that's twice since that was a brand new, newly paved road. We've had to cut into it twice now, and you never repair it the way it was. So I guess we could talk a little bit about whether we think, Mayor, you wanted to talk about if we want to move that water line or not, or abandon it.
Well, I mean, I think it's a separate conversation from getting the hole fixed.
Right.
But that's something that I think John Geller and I are gonna start to look at. The question that I asked him earlier today was why are the main breaks happening? Is there something that we can see that's causing them? And he described, and I think he may have described the last break to all of you. But normally, when a water line breaks, imagine my fingers are the water line. Normally, what happens is you have a break that goes all the way around the pipe, so it kind of goes like that. This last water main break that we had actually ran down one side of the pipe, just like in a line such, about 4 or 5 feet, I think is what he said. I think one of the things there's a number of different factors that we need to take a look at, but one of them I think needs to be, what's the age of the line? Obviously, it's been there for a number of years, dealing with the volume and weight of the traffic over it for a number of years. But was there, could there have been anything with the resurfacing that could have caused it? Right now we have a lot of unknowns, and so it's something I think that we should consider separate from actually, addressing and repairing the hole that's there. But that's something that we're going to take a look at, is to try to analyze. We've had 2 in 2 years now. And on a stretch of pipe, which I don't think we've typically had problems with. I mean, I don't think John Geller has expressed to me any sort of an ongoing history of main breaks on that particular stretch of water line. So there's a lot of questions there that we need to take into consideration in trying to look at it. But that might be something for us to, the conclusion may be that it would be of benefit to us to put in a newer stretch of water main there, and if we do so, obviously it makes sense for us to install it off to the side of the roadway instead of continuing to have it under any section of the pavement. You said you had to think about it. Did you prepare a legislative request, or you want to wait till Johnny's committee meeting? Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
And then you'll have to remind Johnny that what's the bidding process limit now? Is it
50.
Is it 50? Okay, so we wouldn't have to bid this.
No, I mean, in essence, we kind of had already
Well, we've done
by
estimates,
getting some
but if it was
estimates.
something you had to bid,
And-
you'd have to wait the bidding first. But
Yeah,
if it's 50,000,
yeah. I think that's the limit.
I'd like to see us get a hold of it. or Lancaster.
Well, we've tried,
Call.
and here's what I would interpret the lack of response. They must be busy, right? If they needed the work, if they wanted the work,
They'd answer the
they'd
phone.
probably get back to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in
So,
prime time right now.
so
Okay.
So I would say that Johnny's, he'll have a legislative request and request that, but that'll have to come out of capital improvements. There's no money.
either that or the general fund, but capital improvements is the most logical point.
Yep. But like I said, we did stop the dust anyway with the Durapatcher, so it's at least gonna do some-
Bob, that was done sometime last week.
Last week, they got a few more complaints.
Yeah.
People, they were starting to scream at us.
Was it early in the week or later?
I think so, I think so.
Yeah, it was, because they had it down to one lane and the traffic was kind of
Okay.
slow right there, so.
Okay. So we've had almost a week of use on it. I think I'll drive past there.
He
And
said there were a couple places there that they need to go back and patch up.
where it's kind of sunken in some.
Yeah. Or they missed it when they Durapatched.
Oh,
Is that what they use on Licking Good Drive? That
Yeah,
the Durapatcher.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like chip and seal, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a different.
Yeah, it's all you buy. You have to buy the emulsion, which is the sticky tar stuff, and then you have to get really clean limestone, and then that mixes together
As it comes out of the
Put that
nozzle.
down, and then there's a thing you can spread it with.
It's actually sprayed out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
It does a good job.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks good on Looking Good. That
Deep
one.
holes, yeah. I mean,
So-
yeah, sometimes those aren't so good
Yeah.
with it, but you got a bigger rock in there. But it
Yeah.
does okay.
All right.
Number two, we're continuing to spray weeds around our guardrails and try to get, I see on 79 in Irving Wick, that guardrail was fixed where the water department had some of that work to do. That's put back up, so that's in function now. We're just going around mowing and doing all the regular stuff. We're just trying to make this look as good as we can. Number three is the median. And, well, there's lots of things about the median, but we saw that the flowers have been planted, and I think they look nice.
Pretty good.
A lot of people, our workers are saying that a lot of people are, when they're on the median, they're saying that they're stopping and saying it's very nice. And they just want to make sure that we keep it up and keep up the maintenance and keep it looking good all the time. Those are kind of the comments that we're getting.
What
We
about
want,
trees? May I ask?
what's that?
Trees that are under warranty.
They're done, out of warranty. Pulled them, sold. According to John. But the thing is, what are you gonna do? Just let dead trees sit in 79 for years? I mean, that's what's been happening.
Just a question. I'm not saying I'm even
Yeah.
in favor of trees. I just don't
Yeah.
like spending money.
That's why I get our money back for it.
Yeah, just seems like we got shafted on that deal.
But with the salt that we have and the heat from the asphalt, what they planted there, some of those things just are never gonna survive. And, we made the decision to pull the dead stuff out and talked about it, decided to plant annuals. That way, if the salt can't bother them because they're already gonna be dead, and then we can go back and replant and everything will look good again. But if we continue to plant perennials and maybe some of these trees, they may just have the same fate and face the same problem of warranties and, well, you did this and you did this, and it's just a big fight all the time. So I think planting the flowers is a good deal. In the wintertime, there won't be a lot to look at, but we're covered by snow anyway. So, and every spring it'll look nice. So we just have to fix the watering problem there. We do have water there. We had to fix, of course, all the backflow meters, and they're fixed, and now we have water. But we're lacking a little pressure with the hoses that we bought, the soaking hoses.
Drip line,
What's that?
the drip line.
Yeah. They just won't go all the way around the median, so we have to get solid hoses and hook up a sprinkler to them. And I know some of you were here at the very beginning of talks with this median, and some of you weren't, but we need a sprinkler system in the middle, because right now we have to manually go in there and turn the water on and turn it off, and 79 multiple times, which isn't fun to do. And it would be nice if we had a sprinkling system in there. It would be automatic, and they would just pop up, and we could keep that place looking nice all the time. So that's something we're working on with Johnny Geller and myself. The mayor and I talked about it today, so we're going to try to find out what that would entail, and then maybe something we could do this fall before next spring comes. That's another thing. And then the other thing that we're noticing around the medians, and I think really one, maybe you have two, is the accumulation of cigarette butts. There must be a stopping place there, and people are that's how the moths caught on fire a couple times. I think they sit there and they flick them out there. Maybe someone tried to do it on purpose. But I think that's littering. Is that right, Chief? So we need we need a cigarette butt litter commissioner or something.
Thanks for volunteering, Bob.
What's the fine on that?
Honestly, it's amazing if you go by there and take a look at how many they
yeah.
pile up there.
Yeah.
I thought it was gravel when I drove by and I got little buses and they're all cigarette butts.
So I talked to Dave Pennington today about it, and they the sweeper we have has always been a problem. It's always breaking down. This is wrong. This is wrong. They think they're close to getting it fixed, so we're going to try getting the sweeper back out again and see if we can pick them up that way. If we can't, then we just have to go out there and manually sweep them up. But again, anytime you're on 79, that's not a fun thing. So, but I did notice that today. But anyway, I think overall the median is looking, pretty nice, and it gives a little color to the city. I think the couple banners we put up for the 4th of July look nice, and I hope we're going to have even more. And then, you want to tell me a suggestion, Mayor, of showcase or putting a banner up? And
What the banner program that that we had begun as far as getting sponsorships for the banners and having them for different seasons, it really was had gained quite a bit of traction, and then we had the problem where the poles basically fell apart on us. First of all, I think we need to say thanks to John Groff for working on getting those poles fixed, put in. I would say put in correctly, and which will enable us to be able to use those banners, again. Also, I want to say thanks to Bob. He really has kind of taken the bull by the horns as it has related to the flowers that are in the median and having the weeding done and making it look as good as it does. So Bob, I appreciate you, really moving forward with that effort. I think it looks great. I've had a number of people tell me that they think it's much improved compared to what we had, and I know that you helped make quite a bit of that happen. So thank you for doing that.
that's the feminine side of me coming out.
We noticed it right away.
I knew you did.
So our hope is to kind of now be able to implement what we had begun, which was having the businesses that are helping to sponsor banners that go up there for different seasons. And Bob's right, if you look now, there are a few banners there for the Star Spangled Celebration on July 2nd. Now I think, like I said, I think it looks much better than what it did before.
Showcase Lawn is the one that we hired to do that, and they have worked with us and had some ideas themselves and have worked on us with the water situation that we had.
And I wouldn't, I don't know, I'd have to ask John Groff this. I don't know if there's something special that we would have to do to allow this or whatever, but when you go around the courthouse square and the little islands that are kind of in the road and there's some flowers or whatever there's usually a sign there that says that it's kind of maintained by, some business or some, whatever. And I think it would be appropriate for us to have, if Showcase, continues to provide some of the upkeep of those, I think it would be appropriate for us to allow Showcase to put some sort of a similar small ground level sign there saying, maintained by Showcase. I think it would do two things. Obviously, number one, it would be probably good for Showcase if the place is looking nice and people see that, okay. But I think also it would be an incentive to help make sure that it does look nice because it's got their name on it, and they, would want to make sure that it did look good. So, but I think, like I said, I think those annuals make a lot of sense, and I think in the end they'll certainly do perform better than what any of those perennials like those grasses and stuff were.
The courthouse, the names, they get the names because they donate the material and the labor and everything to do it. In our case, in 79, we're paying Showcase to do the job, so.
Oh,
it may, I mean, I don't care if they have a sign one way or the other and everything, but it may be in lieu of maybe some money, we say, you can have a sign and maybe we cut our costs a little bit, something like, something, bargaining chip there a
Right,
little
we're
bit.
hoping that,
You know.
maybe a service group or someone may step up and help us raise money to buy the annuals every year. So, this first year I wanted to get things started, so we put it to bill, but eventually we hope maybe a service group, maybe that can be a fundraiser for them. Beautification of 79 or something, and help us out there.
Now, the signs that were that were hanging and the wind came and the substandard arms, did we make money on that? Was that a donation from them?
And what was happening,
Businesses?
the initiative was to have businesses sponsor those signs, their business logo or whatever was going to be on the bottom of those signs. That was the goal. That was the, like I said, and it was, we were
lost some
doing
money
pretty well on that.
as a city.
until-
We lost some money because of substandard poles.
I don't know. I don't know to what extent we lost money. If the banners weren't paid for and weren't
It
made.
just seems
then-
like when there's a mistake made and it's the city's fault, then we gotta make up for it. And when somebody else makes a mistake and it costs us money, it may be a small amount, well, then we kinda look around and say, well,
I'm not sure that the city had to foot the bill to repair those rods on the
I
poles.
know, but we lost
I don't-
money from the signage. The guy didn't do a good job, and now all of it, and we lost a chance to hang signs. We've lost momentum.
That's
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, and this guy's getting off scot-free. Dave ought to send him a letter and tell him he owes us money. I mean, we get nickel dime to death.
Accountability.
Just a thought.
Accountability.
It's and I know, I understand, I agree with what you're saying, because I'm like that too. But the frustration is dealing with companies and dealing with ODOT and dealing with ODOT, who they subbed out to do this, and then trying to get a call back. I mean, it can be months at a time before you even hear something
At this
from
point in
someone,
time,
if
we've
you
got
even do.
nothing but time.
Well, meanwhile, everything else looks like crap, and I don't know how long you want things to look like crap before we take action.
No, I'm
do
not
something.
saying that you did wrong or the city did wrong where we're at. I'm just saying, turn around to this guy and say, hey, you put up some standard cross arms. It costs us time and money.
Yeah.
Look like crap during the winter.
Well, I'm not sure about these banner signs, but I know you're working for them to be fixed, and I don't know if we paid any money or not, but you're even going to the next step of losing some revenue because of that, so.
Well, I don't think the city makes money on the sponsorship of those signs. No, my thought was just try to help, to have them paid for it.
Right.
Afraid the cost.
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly. I mean, I don't know that it's certainly, in my opinion, probably not a money maker for us, but from the standpoint of the fact that we didn't have an opportunity to have some of those banners up, during the time where those poles were broken, I mean, that's definitely true.
I'm gonna skip forward real quick and go to 5 because it pertains to the media. That there are a couple places that the curbs are damaged, and I would say, I think there's about 4 different places, and probably that was done by the street department plowing around the island, especially one of these first winters that we had. So we are working on repairing those now, and Dave has called several people and has not had any callbacks yet. So I said, we'll keep calling and we'll find someone that can fix them for us, but they're going to have to be cut. And then there's curbs. I don't know how you did yours. There's a machine that makes those curbs. I don't know if you have to do that or you just the small part you mean, but you're going to have to cut them a section and put a section in. So,
Yeah.
but when you get a lot of snow, like you did, especially when these things are a little bit unfamiliar to the guys, that they'll bang into things at times. So, but I told Dave we want to make sure we get those repaired right away so it doesn't get worse. And then that concrete top we have, we will make sure that doesn't get chipped and stuff. So
The brick colored.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying to get that fixed. So that's on the agenda to get done. The signs, I think the last time I said they were in order, well, I was wrong. That now they are in order because we had trouble with the fonts and matching the fonts. We would send stuff, and then we'd always have to send stuff back to us to make sure it matches what we have. It just never matched what we had. They changed the font, but then they made the signs bigger, even bigger than what they are now. And so we had to work all this stuff and get the color as close as we could. So I think we have it down. So by winter, we'll have these signs. And we'll have Oberlin going this way. But it's another phrase. Nothing seems simple anymore for whatever reason. And then the last thing, other items, I think John Groff in his committee meeting has talked about it's like the ditch that's behind Noah's Ark in Greenbrier, and that needs cleaned out. It's clogged up, there's some flooding going on, and it's caused problems around Noah's Ark and some other areas in there. And John has gotten 2 estimates, though the estimate from Layton Contracting hasn't come in yet. The contract we have now is from, or the estimate we have is from Law, and he's asking for $12,257.37. The general fund transfer the street service to cover erosion stream clean out expenses. If Layton comes in, less than that, we would use that money, and then we won't spend all this. But if Layton comes in higher, then this is what we would use, because he would like to get this going, so he has legislative requests. And I don't know.
And the idea would be that we would be able to have the ordinance drafted and for first reading in a couple of weeks. We went back through there, John and Eddie and I can't remember if it was somebody from Layton or Law or both, but anyway, along this drainage ditch, there's a number of obstructions, and the city needs to maintain those ditches.
It's tough getting in there. They probably haven't been cleaned out since the subdivision.
Yeah. And it's kind of similar to the situation when we cleaned out that ditch over in Willow Ridge, where you gotta get a track hoe back in there maybe, and it's not going to be a fun job.
Yeah, we cleaned it out. When it was having water backup problems up on the
The hill.
one of the public area. I think the street department did that.
We can't get in there now, let me tell you, it's wet in there too, that's water sitting in there, so.
Must have been flat. 10,000 square feet.
Yeah,
How many private properties are impacted with this? How many feet are we talking about?
I don't know, I think it's gonna go from, what's the main road going in there, Nadine? I don't know how far he's talked about going back, but I wasn't there for when I was there before looking at it, but I wasn't there when
I wasn't there when they
contractor
were
was there.
inspecting it. I know what's happening is the water is kind of damming up and it's diverting, coming like around through at least a couple different properties. I don't know that
There's
there's
houses.
water in the basements of them, but it's definitely swinging around out of the ditch channel.
In fact, there's two ditches. There's one that comes off of Deanna Stroll that goes between, I think those are houses up there. That needs cleaned out because that comes to the ditch that we're talking about that goes behind Noah's Ark. But there's apartments or houses on the other side of that stream too. And then I don't know how far John has figured to go down though. I don't know. He might be going all the way down, and then that would impact some private residences too.
So, yeah, what you're talking about comes from that catch basin.
Yeah, right.
So the bid, the details are they're going to put the bank back in its as close to original shape as possible.
Yeah, just clean it out and get all the, because there's just, the one place, people have just, over years, has probably just put their limbs and all that stuff, somebody started a pile and everybody started putting stuff on it. So, and then it's all the trees that have fallen in the ditch line.
We're getting there with a track hoe and some very heavy equipment, and if it's not put back,
What it's,
Well, they'll
what
have
law
to-
is saying is to clean out the existing ditch for walk-through and reclaim the area disturbed.
Yeah.
So that,
They'll-
as they
Yeah.
take it out, then they'll put it back, but,
we're not gonna have future complaints with property owners.
hopefully not.
We hope
No.
A lot of
Not for a
natural,
while.
not evergreens, it's
Under the estimate.
bushes grows up in there too, they're wild. That's bad.
That's what
Sorry,
they
Doug, what'd you just say?
You looked at this, didn't you,
Yeah.
today?
Doug, what did you say?
Well, the law, it's 8,000 and something,
Yes.
but the request is for 12,000.
Oh, part of the work is, okay. Part of the work is for
Yeah.
the ditch there behind there by Irvingwood. Another part of the work is for drainage ditch on Alpine Circle.
Oh.
That will actually
Yeah,
end up
okay.
getting
That's
billed
33
to
That's the
the,
first one.
Add
Okay.
33.2 to that.
that'll end up getting billed to the property owner.
Okay.
But we gotta have that money initially.
Yeah.
So the idea is the legislation will be drawn up with this figure.
Okay.
If the other estimate is less, then we won't spend all that.
Okay.
If they want the job, they'll know what the price is. Let's see what good on this.
Anything else, Paul?
Nope.
Okay, we'll make it, 6 o'clock. 5:59.
Yeah. Let's see.
Minute break. Take a break for a minute.
What are we doing with the chairs?
Thanks.
Pass them out.
The door will stay open.
Yeah, that's why we have that one door that sits there. Nick, is there any room down there? Yeah. Could you help me?
We can put a couple here, we can put the chief back here.
Okay.
You wanna sit back here? We're gonna put you in the corner right
I'll
here.
wait.
We're gonna let you face out this way though. We won't make you put your nose in the corner, we're gonna let you sit out this way.
It's not the first time I've been in a corner.
Musical chairs.
When was it? I was over there Thursday, Friday, late. I wasn't over till
We're all can't stay that late anymore. We could.
I was there till like.
Over here to come there.
No such luck.
Take 20 minutes, you know. He's good.
Been out in the sun as well, Father's Day, ball games. She said, I know. Settle there. Is that enough? A couple more? Yeah, I need one more.
Take it easy. Pick it up on the foot down. We'll figure this out.
No, I got you. Girlfriend.
Only this time?
Yeah. Take a part. Thank you.
Your daughter, Mom.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and call Parks, Recreation, and Davis Shai to order at 6:02. First item, Star Spangled Celebration at Yellow Park. Bob?
Alright, just gonna give you an update of things that are going there. This year we decided not to buy mulch to save money. We usually buy mulch every year, put it on the trees. This year we're just gonna try to clean out the trees and get the weeds out. It can get expensive to get all that mulch, so we're starting the process of that, just fixing up the park for it. And again, I am doing my due diligence of the things that I'm in charge of, trash and porta johns. They give me the important things every year, and ice. So then I made sure I was still in charge of that, but I think Jenna's done a good job, and we did decide that she did have a meeting with the vendors, right, already, and
That was,
okay. So I think everything.
yeah, you guys may or may not know, I know Jeff, you volunteer all the time helping park cars. Doug, you may know this too. Last year was the last year that John Broff kind of headed up the organizing of the event. So I had asked Jenna, my assistant, to take over that role, and I agree with you, Bob. I think she's done a real good job in that capacity. John certainly has been helpful in providing her information and guidance and those kind of things, but no, it's looking like it's shaping up to be a pretty nice event. One of the things that I think it's just about nailed down. I think the only other aspect is making sure that we have enough volunteers around the area during the day to kind of help police things. But you know, the city's event has always been at Geller Park. However, Geller Park provides you with a pretty poor view of the fireworks relative to other areas around town. So about a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago, on a Wednesday evening, you may have heard some booms around. We had Zambelli Fireworks, which is the company that is the provides the fireworks. We had him come and we had him shoot some test shots from behind the hill at Geller Park. And we stationed people at different points where people normally park, like over in the mall parking lot by Sears and over by Walmart, and down there where down on 79, like where the old Clark Motors is. And they could see the fireworks, even the 3-inch shells, which were the smallest ones. They could see them over the tree line. So, our goal is to shoot the fireworks off from behind the hill. And that will give the people that are at the city event there in the park a fantastic view of the fireworks. T100, WCLT T100, they're going to broadcast music at the same time that the fireworks are going off. So, we'll encourage people to bring their radios or whatever to be able to listen to the music too as the fireworks are going off. But it should provide an extremely good view of the fireworks for the people who are attending the city's event. So that'll be probably the biggest change from what we've done in the past. Quite a bit of it will be, very similar to what we've done in the past. We all know how successful that event has been, and so, you don't want to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So. But Jenna's done a real good job, and if you see her or whatever, I would encourage you to give her thanks, because she's worked hard on it.
Anybody have any questions about the Star Spangled celebration, comments?
Deb, if you don't mind, I just want to step out here real quick. Natalie's on a business trip, and I've had somebody try to call me twice, and I just want to make sure there's nothing wrong with the girls.
Yes.
I'll be right there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Gasoline bill park.
We had a fellow named Brandon, named Garling from the Energy Corporation, and they would like an easement in Geller Park to install a 6-inch gas line. And this to replace the some of the distribution lines they have that goes along Louise Avenue. A lot of it, where their gas lines are now, they have said that people have put sheds on top of them and all the other things you can think about, fences and everything. So they would like to use a strip of Geller Park, and it would be on the east side of the park. And I'll have a map I can show her, but it's on the east side of the park, and it would go from their substation, which is close to our shop, and then go all the way to the very end of the south end of the park. It would be between the fence line and the bike path, and they would not disturb any of the bike path. They also want a substation at the south end of the park, but I said no to that, because I know how often they have to get in, and we're thinking about maybe someday that could be an entrance or an exit to Geller Park. So we've said no to that, and they've agreed to that. But it'd be a 6-inch gas line, and they would go underneath the entrance of Geller Park, so they wouldn't disturb any of the asphalt wall. And they said they might be able to shoot it on the ground all the way, or they may have to dig, but again, everything will be restored the way it is. I don't have personally a problem with it. I've talked to the mayor, and I think we'll have Mr. Morrison look at it with the agreement before we would sign it, but I wanted to give you a heads up that is something that could be happening within the park. And I think they're going to connect it to the bigger gas line that runs through Van Born's property, which could cut through our park a little bit. So.
I was going to ask if you knew where the right-of-way was for that existing gas line. I'm sure there's some sort of easement.
Yeah, and he wasn't even sure. We have to look closely, but it might cut right through the corner of our park. The bigger, you're talking about the bigger one? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Which corner?
The southeast corner.
Okay.
Yeah. but that's where, they also thought that was remnants of the Hopewell Road, so I don't know if, we didn't know if that was a gas line or the road, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
Free tap off that gas line.
yeah, putting the gas grill on.
Yeah.
Questions about
So we'll let you know what's going on with it, but we'll have, Mr. Morrison check it, and Mayor and I will look at it. We'll do something, okay?
Brian?
Yeah, but what about in the future? I mean, obviously they're gonna take care of everything, make sure it looks good now, because they're wanting an easement. Once they get the easement, then it belongs to them. Well,
We'll still mow and everything.
No, but we'll specify that they have to put it, they gotta go in there and
Yes,
just
it
work
says
it.
it in the agreement that they have to put it back to the original.
Even if they do work in the future, it doesn't.
Yes. Yeah, they would always maintain it and keep it right.
Ron?
A lot of people gather there, 4th of July, our Star Spangled celebration. What about safety?
Well, I think existing gas line is only 15 feet from the one they want to put in. And then it connects to I think it's an 8-inch gas line that's in the corner of the park, and everyone's clear across a horse property and goes behind the Shai house there. So I think we're good.
Anybody
As
else?
safe as you can be with gas like this anywhere,
Perhaps one, along that thinking, perhaps one of the, hey, how you doing? We need another chair?
No.
Oh, okay. Perhaps something along the lines of what you're talking about, though. We may want to stipulate when they can install it.
Yeah, and I don't think we could tell them that, but it sounds like they start this process way in advance in case there's complications or something. So I don't anticipate them wanting to do it.
Okay.
This 4th of July, but we'll make sure of that.
Or any 4th of July.
Right.
I mean, I think this is what kind of you're saying, right? Is that we know that the park is packed for that. Now the park's always being used, and there's going to be an inconvenience there, and there's nothing that we can really do about it. But from the sheer number of people in the park, we would want to try to protect that date, because
we'll try to see when they're.
that might be something for us to talk to David about.
Okay, anything else with the gas line?
One more.
Yes,
Not to be a
no,
pain.
that's okay.
Since it is, changing something and if you change it, then you can improve. And since there are people there on 4th of July, would it be possible to put a casing or something where if there was a leak, that would shoot out fumes instead of there?
I don't know. Those are
That's
things we'd have to
something that
ask.
could be discussed.
Okay.
What was it you're suggesting?
Down where I'm from, there was a children's home that set it atop a pipeline, and they put a casing in where it would go out each end instead of up.
Oh, okay.
It's just a thought.
So that the house wouldn't blow up if something happened
Right.
to it. Okay, I see.
All right, Bob, pool repairs and expenses.
We've been working on the pool, and just a little update on the improvements that we have made. And I think I touched on this last time I was here, but the activity pool, we had the major leak, and that seems what we have done, which was laying some of those pipes that it has maintained its water, and we're not losing the water that we did earlier. So
That's good.
that's always a good thing. There's just some other things that we have done, and everything we have done so far looks like it's really fixed the problem. So we're still looking to see if we have to caulk the gutters. We're monitoring that and see how that's going. I haven't checked that lately, but I haven't heard anything more from Craig, so that's usually good if I don't hear anything with that.
What is that expense? Did
That
Craig
could
have
be
an
anywhere
idea?
from 30 to 50,000. It depends on. That we did it, 18 years ago, and it was 25,000 then. So how things go, it could double. Maybe it didn't double yet, but you have to take all those limestone caps off, and caulk in there inside the gutter. So it's a job. It's a job, and then put it back. And usually they start in the fall. sometimes they don't get done, they have to come back in the spring and finish up and put the caps on it, so. It looks like everything we're doing is doing well. The skylight is done, so that's all new and looking good. And the other thing we have to do yet are to put on the filter building, the new filter building that has a metal roof, and ice can build up on there. And I think I explained this last time. And this ice can break free when it starts to melt a little bit, and any vent pipe you have, it'll just wipe it out. Also, it can be dangerous if when the employees are checking things in the wintertime, open the door, slams it, and that ice can come down. If you look at any metal buildings, which I look at now, they have these ice breakers up there. They're just these things like your hand, and they kind of stop the ice or split the ice from falling down. And they're usually over doorways. So we had that installed, but the ones we had installed, the ice just wiped them out. So we have to get like heavy duty ice. We have big winters now, thankfully. So that'll be another expense we'll have to do before winter gets here. Other than that, we're looking decent.
That's good.
We have great weekends weather, but the weeks aren't as good. It seems like it wants to rain almost every day in the week, but at least the weekends have been pretty decent for us.
Yesterday, we took Emily and her friend over there, and they're swimming, and when we went to pick them up, even at the pool closes at 6:45. Even at that point, there was a good crowd there for 6:30, 6:45 on Father's Day. I went in the office. I think the count for the day was maybe 925, or for some reason that figure seems to stick in my head, which seems like a pretty good crowd.
Average day, over 1,000 before we did the improvements was a great day, and then when we did the improvements, at least for the first 4 or 5 years, I mean, we were some days getting 2,500, over 3,000 a couple times, but it's kind of dwindled down.
Now see, I can't. I mean, people just kind of stand there in the water and move around a little bit like that, but that'd be about all the room you'd have. The lazy river. We have it. I mean, I know I was over there with Craig, and he showed me some.
There's cracks.
Yeah. Any concerns as far as water loss there?
I think we're losing a little bit of water in there, but it's not so bad that we're panicking about it. But those are items too that we have to look at to address.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else on pool repairs or expenses from anyone? Fourth item is the bed tax, Bob.
I put on the agenda, and the mayor was on vacation, but I know it was a discussion of last week, and I figured it might be a discussion this week, so I put it on there in case anybody has anything to say about it today.
I think I put it in everybody's box. I checked my email at 5 o'clock, and at 4:17 I was in receipt of an email from Senator Schaefer expressing a concern with changing the purpose and use of the facility. I replied back to his legislative aide, who was the one who emailed me right away at 5:01. My response was to the aide: if at any time Senator Schaefer would like to have a conversation with me regarding the potential future use of the Davis Shea House, I would certainly be willing to talk with him. In short, my thoughts are that the facility's purpose and use would not be forced to change much at all. Rather, there could be an opportunity for the people of Heath and Licking County to find greater value and use of the facility and have, and I put in instead of and, so that's my typo, and have more of Heath's residents find greater worth in the city's significant financial investment which it makes each year toward its maintenance and upkeep. So that was my response, and I before I came over for the meeting, I had not received any email response from his office. Also, I tried to call his aide's phone number at about 5:10 or whatever, and didn't get any answer, so I was assuming maybe they were closed for the day or something like that. So, but the letter was addressed to me and the members of the council, so I put a copy of this in each of your boxes.
Mark, if you do hear from Senator Schaefer, I would like to be involved in that meeting if he does want to meet.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll share with you that I did have a conversation, not last week, but the week before, with a person in the Ohio Cultural Facilities Commission. This is the entity that that entered into the grant agreements with the Arts Council, and I laid the whole picture out for him. And now, with the understanding that although this person is very familiar with agreements of this type, he did not have the specific documents in front of him when he was talking with me. Although certainly you can tell from the conversation he knows how these agreements typically go that the state does on these type of grants. And so I laid the whole picture out for him, and we talked a little bit about a couple different what if scenarios or whatever. And, long story short, his primary concern seemed to be that he did not want to see the building sold by the city for use by some private, for-profit entity. I think he made it fairly clear to me that the state would take a dim view on that. I let him know that that was by no means what I would envision happening. He asked if the Arts Council no longer existed and no longer operated it, would the city intend to operate it? And I told him that certainly, there would be, to some degree, to some level, the city could have cultural and or artistic type of events that could take place there, as well as continuing the current idea of being able to rent it out for people to use for events and things like that. And like I said, from my conversation with him, he seemed to be certainly comfortable with the idea of the building continuing to be used for a not-for-profit public usage. But if something were to ever happen where a private business or a private entity or something like that, if something were to happen where they were to gain ownership of it and then operate it as a business or something along those lines, I think he made it pretty clear that that would not be something that the state would look highly upon.
I guess I would just say, and I've said this before, I think it's just something we don't need to rush into by trying to have that happen tonight, because I think we owe it to the citizens to make sure we have all the information. And while we've answered a few very specific, narrow questions about the legalities and the potential litigation, I think there are far more questions in my mind than there are answers at this point. And so I think, I would like to see us take some time. Nothing's going to change till the beginning of the year, and I think that we owe it to the citizens to protect them. I don't think it matters whether you support the Shai House and what they've done or whether you don't. I think it's about protecting the citizens' interests, and there's a huge investment there, and so I think those are the kind of things that are in my mind that I want to make sure we've done everything we can to make sure we make the right decision moving forward. Anybody else have any questions, comments, anything they want to add about the bed tax at this point?
Yeah.
Yes,
my name is Trudy Wright, and I'm a resident of Heath. Okay. 8-year volunteer at the Davis Shai House. I don't see anything elitist about this place. We have events, whether it's Christmas, our spectacular, our Easter parade, things that bring people in. Moreover, we bring people from out of state, from out of the community, to see how great a place Heath is. Now, I have traveled in 47 in the United States, plus Canada. I've never found anything like this, and not believe me, I go looking because I want to steal ideas, okay? We were in British Columbia and went to, I believe, Lake Louise. They had a high tea there, $35 a person, and there wasn't a drop of tea, it was a wine tasting. And the recipe, or the menu, didn't look that pleasing. I attend events as well as work them, and I would hate to lose this. I'm a former educator. I have friends all over Licking County. They have come here, 2 events with me, and come back. This has been a source of pride for me. And I'm sorry, Mr. Heffley, but I take great offense to your comparison of sand down a rat hole. That metaphor offended me.
Sorry, ma'am, I'm just calling it like I said.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you see that, but I think, well, I'm a retired English teacher. You could have found a better metaphor, okay? And that's my English teacher correction, not my citizen correction. But this is a marvelous facility. I was on vacation when all this started blowing up, and I read the Advocate online. We go away for a month, I read the paper every day, and I called my daughter, who had been the chef over there, Roy, and said, what in the name of heavens is going on? And I'll tell you, I am very disappointed in you and in the council for all the baloney that went down from people coming in whining and complaining. All right? It just seemed excessive. There's got to be a point where you say, enough. This is a fine facility. We worked hard to get the money from the state. We worked really hard, and Mark, you know this, for the Pepsi grant.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
I was taking chemo at the time and sat at a computer every day because it was an important commitment. This is history of the community. Don't destroy it. I'm fighting the same battle with my church, Trinity Episcopal. The roof is falling in. We have to come up with over $1 million. There are only like 40 of us. We're gonna fight. Keep this thing going as something unique and special. Thank you for listening to me. Anyone else?
Can I maybe just, certainly I think in the citizen comments, I think it's certainly courteous to reply. First of all, Trudy, thanks for coming. And I appreciate your comments. I can understand perhaps why you would use the word like destroy.
That's
Okay.
what I feel is
And you know, while I was on vacation last week, I took an opportunity to read the article that online as well, and I don't know if it ran in the paper on Friday or Saturday or whatever, but
I have a
there
copy.
was an article. And you know, I understand, and Kent, believe me, I'm not pointing a negative finger at you. I understand it's not as though you can write a magazine sized article about this, you know, whole situation. You have X number of inches that you're limited to of copy, and so I don't want you to in any way take this as some sort of you know, negative view. But you know, I think that it could be easy for someone who has read the media accounts to use a word like destroy. Okay. Now, that's never a word that I have used, and I think anybody who has even the least little bit of appreciation for history would have to acknowledge the historical and also the uniqueness of that building. I know since you were on vacation, as you said, you didn't have an opportunity to attend the council meeting.
I couldn't last week too because
ago.
there was no parking spot. I got here and drove the parking lot like 4 or 5 laps and couldn't get in.
Well, I'm glad that you got here early.
That's why I came early today.
I know 2 weeks ago you weren't able to be here, and I won't spend much time at all rehashing that evening. But I will share with you this, and this is, I frankly was very encouraged by what I saw. There were some people who had spoken out against the repeal of the ordinance who used words and thoughts similar to what you did, you know, destroying the Shai house. Don't tear down, you know, what's been built, right? That kind of thing. And you know, from my vantage point, sitting up there, was almost, I don't know if this was necessarily planned this way, Trudy, or if it just happened to happen. But, you know, in the council chambers, we have a main kind of hall.
I know
row.
what you're gonna say, okay?
And there was like, you know, one half of the room seemed to be people who would be in favor of repealing the ordinance, and for the most part, the other half of the room were people who were not in favor of repealing the ordinance, give or take maybe a few individuals or something. But you know, there's a part in the city council meeting where the mayor you know, makes some comments, and during my comments, I talked about how it's my belief that and desire that what we need to do is to kind of hit the reset button and rebrand the place and try to find a way to make it so that it's more accepted and available, and people take the opportunity for one reason or another to enjoy the house and to attend this, that, or the other, or whatever. And that I believe that you know that can be done. And you know, Trudy, what encouraged me the most as I was sitting there making those comments was that it wasn't just one side of the room whose heads I saw nodding. I think when people perhaps, and I get this opinion from having a couple of those people on one side of the room you know, come up to me afterward and say, you know, I like what you said. They're, I think when they actually, instead of reading something in the media or having a conversation with somebody, you know, about it, when they actually heard me describe what I felt the place could be and its importance in the community and how you know, I envisioned its you know, perhaps future use. I was encouraged. It wasn't just one side of the room nodding, and for what it's worth, I just wanted to share that with you.
May I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
All right, Mr. Henry said, and again, this is from the paper, that 2012 management agreement with the Heath Community Arts Council, which operates the house, obligates the city to continue its financial support. I've never seen a paper with it written down. I was at the meeting when it was discussed, and I guess I'm old school, verbal contracts are like handshakes to me. Are we not obligated to follow that? And if we don't, if I were a businessman coming into Heath, I would have concerns about the Heath City Council and citizens of Heath keeping their commitments.
That's perhaps maybe one of the things that either was maybe misspoken or misreported. The 2012 agreement that Councilman Henry would be referring to would be a management agreement that stipulates various services and efforts and such that the Arts Council would do for the city. And then it stipulates in it a declining amount of money for it.
My understanding was 5 years,
It's
city.
10. It's 10. As
Well,
far as
5 for the city,
declining
and
amount.
then the final, next 5, after the next 5, then the Arts Council. I don't know, you know, I'm 71, my
Yeah.
memory may be bad,
Yeah.
okay?
Now, what it is it stipulates for a 10-year period of time. The first year of it, I think it was $30,000, and the second year of it was 27, and the next year it was 24. So it's like a $3,000 per year declining for. But that agreement, nowhere in that agreement does it stipulate anything about bed tax revenue, in the future going towards the Arts Council. The only, and I would just mention this too, in the lease that the city has with the Arts Council, for the Arts Council to be able to use the facility, it doesn't say anything there about future bed tax allocation. In the agreement that the Arts Council entered into with the Ohio Cultural Facilities Commission regarding the grant money that was used to renovate and add on to the place, there's nothing in it that refers to future bed tax revenue allotment. The only document that obligates the city to allocate bed tax revenue is the ordinance in question.
Trudy, I wanted to say too, I think that it's important to note that the lease agreement is what I think really ties us with the Arts Council, because they have that property until 2033, and so when we talk about resetting or rebranding the facility, I think that the Arts Council has to be a big part of that, because we need to be working with them prior to making decisions, because in order for it to move forward and meet the requirements of the agreements that were made with the state, I think that that's where I'm saying there are still questions in my mind about our legal liabilities and what could potentially happen, and I don't think we need to put the citizens at that risk when we have some time to work with the Arts Council to come up with some of those things. So,
well, the question of putting it to a vote on ballot, I question that too.
I think what that was maybe referring to.
Time to do this.
I think Trudy, maybe what that would refer to is that there is opportunity on really almost for any reason, almost. There is opportunity for people to put together a ballot initiative, basically, and the nuts and bolts kind of it are that you have to put together some language that you would want to appear on the ballot. You have to go out and get a certain number of signatures, and that would be determined by the county board of election, and then people can sign a petition, and if there's enough validated signatures for that in a ballot, then something would be on the ballot.
Okay.
And again, this is, I'm not saying that specific to this. I'm saying in general, that's the mechanism. That's the kind of the process by which something like that can take place.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
No, sure.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
How did this come up, Did it come up from citizens or from you or from the council?
It wasn't from me. I don't think it was from any individual council member that I'm aware of.
Do you know who came up with it?
Well, I think maybe Dwayne mentioned something actually a couple of weeks ago in the committee meeting about it. But to what extent anything would be done, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in that loop, I guess, so to speak. So it's hard for me to know. I mean, I'm certainly not going to speculate. So
You didn't know anything about it?
No. I mean, like I said, it's not something that I would initiate. I mean, I'm the mayor. My role is to make recommendations to council on what council should do, and that's obviously what I've done.
Anything else? Yes.
Well, I'm Dan Dops. I live in Heath. I was a former mayor. David Shai in the pool were enlarged and expanded under my administration. But one of the things, I've had a lot of good conversations with lots of people in the room. I just want to make a couple of observations, especially on the meeting the other day. Everybody in that room has either volunteered, attended, or sponsored an event at the David Shai. And I don't believe, and I like the guy in front of me very much. He and I part cars together. The last time we ate together, I think it was at a senior citizens meeting in David Shai. And I don't believe anybody was an elitist in that room. I honestly don't believe that. I brag about Heath that we don't have, extremely wealthy people that have been able to help Newark and other cities that I know. It's done by the citizens. So that's just one observation. The other observation, and the mayor and I have been talking about the mission statement, and we talked about resetting, and we've all talked about restructuring and all that. I just want to read the mission statement that is still in existence. It goes back to '04 when we put the bylaws together. And here it is: to foster community enrichment by cultivating the arts, supporting the enhancement of public parks and green space, and to promote public health by managing the David Shai House as a center for the arts, preserving and promoting the historical significance of the area through entertainment and education, and providing quality leisure time opportunities for the community without gain or profit to any individual group or group of individuals. And we are government. This is government. The police department, the fire department, the water and wastewater, the tax. Water and wastewater does, you do raise rates. It has a rate structure. But this is government. The reason we don't have big, wealthy people controlling everything is it's government. It's a service. We all pay a tax for a service. And we're talking about a bed tax that unless you stayed at a Heath hotel or a motel, you're not paying. It was a wonderful setup. The gentleman who started the works was very envious of that public-private arrangement that we had with the David Shai House. The mayor invited us on May 8th to meet. The business with the repealing of this tax was not a surprise, because he was gracious enough and nice enough to meet with us, telling that this was coming down the road. I sincerely appreciate that. I think we all do. But our reaction is we do not think this is a good idea. Number one, we don't think it's a good idea. Here's why. The David Shai House, that lot, maybe the school out on Linville Road, are I think the three oldest historical things we have in this community. I believe that. They are the three. The David Shai House has real significance. There's a book about it. Mrs. Wilkin wrote about it, and plus the history of our community. I'm from Deer Park, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio. There are about 4 or 5 of you here who were born here, raised here. It ought to mean something that you have something like this. Other communities are doing exactly that. And then, when you look at the fairness of this was given to us on May 8th. Less than 6 weeks. And we had to react. And some of it is, and the mayor was sharing some of his ideas with us. But I disagreed with the mayor on, he doesn't think we've really been that successful. But with the mission statement, I think we have. I believe, Mrs. Wilkin under her administration, Mrs. Ladrick under her administration, they work hard. They're working with a few people to preserve something that is owned by the citizens of Heath, not the council, not the mayor. All money going through that is the citizens of Heath's money. And I've talked with many of you, and we're moving awfully fast on a very, very important thing. I think we need it. If we did this on establishing the 2 fire stations, we might have made a mistake, and I don't think we did, because there was a proposal, this is similar, for 1 massive fire station right here, if I'm not mistaken. 1 massive fire station. No, we put 2 out for the community. We took a long time on that decision, and I think this is a mistake in terms of how rapidly we're doing this. I think it's a mistake to do it in the first place. I don't believe that the people of Heath are that ignorant, if you will, or unaware of the benefits of the David Shai House. I commended the mayor, and I happened to walk into the meeting, because I had a meeting with Joe, when he had the people from the German company that's moving in. He used the David Shea House, I believe, as we had envisioned it. It's not, to promote the city. And he did that. And what a fine place to bring people to. I had my daughter's rehearsal dinner. Mr. Alexander said to me that, we ought, actually it was suggested by another party, we've got we've got a U.S. congressman moving to our community. I said, that's great. Nancy Childs Dix would love to do it, but she can't. I said, well, Shirley and I will welcome him. And we did. We welcomed him to this community at the David Shea House. And you just don't have an opportunity to do that. The mayor of New York's got a beautiful residence. You go to Kettering, they have a theater. You go to Columbus, they have homes. I think we're missing the boat. And we're concentrating on the so-called cost of this. But when they put millions of dollars in the paper, that's an accumulation of years. It's not the year that the pool. When I became mayor, the pool was losing money year after year after year, but it's a service that the community wants. And you saw, the people that were there the other night, they were for the David Shea House. They're just on opposite ends on how to operate it. And by the way, the mayor, look, the wrong hands were raised. It's not a matter of the residents. We should have raised how many former and present board members on the Heath Community Arts Council are in this room. It would have been astounding how many people have served and got on. Last but not least, Deb Cole's just been wonderful as a representative. I've told our law director, I've told the mayor, I've told a lot of you. I think it's a mistake to not have Bob or the mayor, a councilman on our committee with a vote. You're the only owners that I know of a significant property like this that does not have a vote. I think it's just terrible public policy. And the law director, I talked to Mr. Finley, talked to Mr. Morrison. They say there may be a conflict of interest. Well, if you have a conflict of interest right now on a vote, what would you do? Would you resign, quit, get off? No. You would abstain. That's what ought to happen then, too. I think quite frankly, the advice was wrong, and I think it's very poor policy not to have the parks director, the mayor, and a council person on. That's how we set it up. And I think it's just terrible that you don't have that. And last but not least, the other day, Saturday, I was over there at an event, and I just looked at the architectural design, the architectural strength, and the amount of things that we've done to make that a beautiful facility. It's unbelievable. When I think about the sides of that room the other day, Mrs. Wilkin on one side, Mrs. Laderick on it, they both worked like crazy to improve that place. Mrs. Wilkin, after a tornado, helping to put it back together. All of you working on the Pepsi grant, the mayor working extremely hard, much better than I could have done. And I just think it's a terrible mistake, and it's not a community thing that we need in our community. It's not a community thing that we need in our community, this kind of bickering over a fantastic facility that many communities would just die for. And if you don't understand that, I'm sorry. It's really not a matter of money in and money out. Because if it's that way, then Howard Lefevre, Mr. Miller, Mr. Reeves, they'll have a lot more, those people might have a lot more interest, not self-interest, but a lot more importance in terms of creating everything and making things happy or making things well or happy or unhappy in our community. We, the citizens of Heath, because this is a tax funding thing, we all have input to it. And I think we ought to really appreciate it more and more. I think in the long run, like the pool, like the parks, like the land that you have for parks, you not only have the 40, but you have a large area outside of the city that is our park land. Huge areas outside of the city. So that's all I have to say. And I think it's a rush to judgment. I don't think we're really appreciating what we have. And for the folks, quite frankly, who grew up in this town, you only have a few things that are in your history. The David Shai House, the lot, and maybe this old school out on Linville. The rest of it was built in the 40s and 50s. And we needed to preserve them. So I just thank you for the time, and I appreciate what you do. You know that because I've been in your shoes. I appreciate what you do. It's very difficult. But I don't think we have to worry about every dollar when our past history and our future depends on good judgment. And I think not operating the David Shai House well is not good judgment. The best judgment is to operate everything as best you can. Thank you.
I think we've got time maybe for one more person if someone has something to say, because we need to probably move on to finance and caucus, and there will be an opportunity.
Plus there's other items. I know someone has other items.
Okay, so there's other items. So anybody, yes, sir?
Yeah, we're talking about the Davis Shai House.
Bed tax.
I just think it's a money pit. I mean, you know, you're talking, the city of Heath, I just seen in the paper here 2 or 3 weeks ago, we need a new fire truck, and we need a new emergency squad and everything. But yet we're dumping money in that thing. You know, you go down to Somerset where there's a general, and somebody lives in that house, but they got a sign out front that says, "This was the home of General Sherman." You know, I mean, it seems to me like it's been just like a white elephant ever since it came here. I mean, you're pouring money in it, you're pouring money in it, you're pouring money in it. I just disagree. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Yes, what was your name, sir?
Chuck Shepherd.
Okay, we're gonna move on to other items, and like I said, there will be some opportunity for visitors to speak again if that's something that you would like to do, but, I understand you do have something under other items, so.
Yeah, hey, or you just gonna borrow money from your dad?
You wanna speak on a page, or you want me to?
You can start, Mr. Council President.
As most council members know, the mayor, we've been doing that map on the bike path and everything, and Paige runs on different paths around the community and everything, and the other path she runs on has quarter-mile marks and maybe mile markers and stuff, so as you're running, you know that you've just run a mile or 2 miles, so if you're you know, kind of timing yourself or pacing yourself, you know, you keep track and stuff. And she asked me if it'd be possible to paint quarter-mile marks and mile marks on the path so that we would know, you know, where they were. So I talked to Bob earlier before the committee meeting about maybe doing that.
Yeah.
And
on the asphalt?
Yeah, on the asphalt.
Okay.
Yeah. Like starting at Hopewell Drive and go all the way to 40 and put marks on that path, and then do the other paths out to the Port Authority. So maybe do them a different color, because as I was talking to Bob, it's hard to know where to branch off at when you're going, you know, to start your quarter again. Do you start at 0 and go on the side ones or what? So we're kind of working on that, but I guess getting permission to, you know, probably at first it'd just be the marking paint that would wear off after a little while from the rain and stuff, but if it works out right, maybe get, you know, nice stencils and actually paint on the path, you know, so people would know in the future and stuff. But
Paige, you know, as you can tell, looking at me, I don't do a whole lot of running on it. Do the paths where you see these markers, are they just an indicator that this is 1/4 mile, this is another 1/4 mile? Because otherwise, like, how they don't know where you're starting and they don't know where you're finishing. So what are you seeing?
The path out at Cherry Valley Lodge that goes out to Granville and then eventually Johnstown, it starts right at Reddington, I think, is the cross street.
Okay.
And there's a central, just like a dot there that's where the path starts. And then every quarter mile it says like 0.25, the next one says 0.5, the next one says 0.75.
Oh, okay.
And it just continues all the way out.
Is it a certain color?
White. And it's just off to the side of the path. And then, so like I have started at, just the dot, and then I go out however far I want and then come back. Or if you start out at, like Wildwood Park, there's a 3.5 there. And so then from there, then, I can do the math and say, okay, I'll go out to 5 and then come back, and then that's 3 miles for the day.
Okay.
And
so the key is you have a starting point, you have an ending point.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and just keep, And
yeah.
Mr. Kelly has come up with also a map.
You call him Dad. It's okay.
He's being funny.
He's also come up with a map that has different marking points along the path. Like if you start at on Licking View to Irvingwick,
It tells you how far.
it says how far between.
Yeah.
And he's got like a matrix that tells you. So if you, I don't know if eventually you guys want to put up like permanent placards that say, if you're starting here and go to here, this is how far it is. That might also be helpful, but I mean, just to start, I'd love to.
And I would think, Bob, if it's something that you're interested in, we can work with Eddie and use the GIS, and we could figure out the quarter mile marks on the GIS, and then you just take that map out to the path and use that to indicate it. And I'm sure if it's not exact, nobody's going to get too upset.
If you do anything permanent, like it has to pass my rule hitting it 8 times with the ball bat. So probably a marker on the pavement would be fine. Painted marker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll say vandalism as tore us apart on that stuff before.
But you know what though, the walking path on the west or north, depending on where you're at, side of South Fork, that goes back there behind Geller Park and on back toward the water plant, where it has those posts with the things that have descriptions of the different trees or descriptions of the different birds or whatever. I think from a vandalism standpoint, those things have been respected pretty well. I think they're showing their age.
Yeah.
And some of the, I think, the waterproof integrity of them has been compromised over the years. But as far as like vandalism is concerned, I think people have been very respectful of.
We just had a lot of the tunnel lights bashed in the other day.
Yeah.
So we fight it all the time. We're having problems the underneath 79. We had a wall put up that one side. We have a wall now. They're taking the stones and throwing them all over the place. So it's a battle. Some things maybe they don't. It used to be we didn't have any problems. Now it seems like we're facing a little bit more, and we have less money to deal with it. So
I had a call about the path around Geller Park. They mow that, you pull that tree off.
Well, we have to spray it and then we put down a small limestone, and we're talking about that right now. But it's never ending fight. Unless we paved it all like we did the other, we can keep it pretty nice. But we have to keep spraying it, and then it's stuff you can spray anymore, and it's powerful as it used to be, so that it doesn't last as long. And then it costs a lot of money to spread all that gravel around there. With our budget cuts, it's a little bit tougher to do.
Any other questions, comments about Kit Park?
Mr. Kidd brought up a good point just a second ago, the fact that the markers could help in the event of a rescue or something. They had to call out squad or something.
Like what we thought about in the 4A preserve as far as the, that's a good point.
Mayor, I'd just like to offer that we still have room on our equipment in the police department to add remote cameras. So if there's any discussion, the vandalism continues in the tunnels, we can equip those with remote cameras.
We got a perfect place to put one right now in Geller Park. They overturn the porta-john every night. If you put it inside of it, I don't know.
Quarters take a dime.
It's an ongoing battle every night. So it's
Anyone else on the bike paths and the markers? And I just have one thing I think that Councilman Kelly should have addressed her as Ms. Kelly. Thank you for that. All right, anything else under other Bob? Anything from anyone else in the room on other for Parks Rec and David Shai? Hearing nothing, we will adjourn at 7 o'clock.
All right, guys, ready for finance here in a minute?
Hey, Clark. Come here, son.
Right together.
We got any more of these?
Do I need a 2-minute break, 5-minute break?
Just get right into it, then we can get correct, then take a break.
Everybody got a copy? Who wants a copy? Get Haley? Anybody else want a copy?
I can run off some more if you need them.
We got
Oh,
Okay, it's 7:02. Let's start finance committee meeting. First item, amend section 159.31 of the codified ordinances to indicate that the city of Heath shall provide life and health insurance with cost sharing as outlined in the collective bargaining agreements. Unrepresented full-time employees shall be afforded the cost sharing aspects the same as per the ASME agreement then in effect. Comments on that?
Currently, any department heads or non-union employees have been following the ASME agreement. Nothing's been written to say that. And the auditors have asked several times. Even though we have an understanding or even just a written policy that just says we will share cost sharing. They want something a little more concrete, ordinance-wise or something that says what we are following, so that.
So it's really not a change, it's just putting in print what
Putting
we're
in
already
print
doing.
what you already do.
What we already do,
Yeah.
but rather than say, well, where's your directive? Let, you know, show us that this is what's in.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Committee, you guys okay with that?
Yep.
You got a draft on that one?
thanks.
Second item. Adopt a municipal bond post issuance policy. Do you have any comments on that?
That one I do believe he said he could discuss further on when he came back on that one. Basically, it's the council that we helps us with our bonds and that they're recommending that we adopt a policy or have one written up on doing that, because he says audits, not just state, but even federal audits now are getting a little trickier. We're making sure you have a set policy on what you're doing, so it's just kind of a formality, projecting out to make sure we're covering that for everything. But he'll discuss that further if you get any more questions when he gets back.
Comments, questions? You okay with that? Third item, appropriate $81,700 within the fire levy one to fire levy one other equipment. If it's emergency, yes, it is an emergency, needs to proceed, process to keep from paying interest to the feds.
Oh, that's for using the grant?
Yes.
The grant
We talked
money,
about
we
that.
got the money to
Yeah.
pay for those
We need to
things.
use
We
it.
need to
You have
use
to
it.
use it within so many days or you get a penalty assessed, so that's why the emergency.
That's why emergency. Other comments? $4.5, appropriate $12,257.37 from the general fund and transfer to streets and service to cover erosion and stream cleanup expenses, which
That's what Bob covered earlier.
Mr. Geller, in his street department covered. Further comments?
I was questioning on that. I know we have a couple minutes here, but just real quick, is that our responsibility? I gotta think about that.
Yeah.
Never mind, keep going.
If you go look at it, it's our responsibility.
I just wanted to make sure.
Really, it's.
We have a drainage easement that we have to maintain.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't own the property, we just have a drainage easement
It is
responsibility.
good enough.
Same thing happens in Willow Ridge and a lot of these other.
I know some of the things that we did in Willow Ridge, they weren't our responsibility.
But we did.
What was ours?
Was our responsibility, then the homeowner, he took care of the rest of it.
Right.
Paid for that part of it.
Okay, good enough, thank you.
Other comments? Committee's okay with that?
Yep.
Fifth item, Commander Chief Mason, to appropriate $8,000 within the law enforcement fund to service contracts. Chief Mason, you sponsored this, or you wrote this up. Comments on that?
It's an interfund transfer from law enforcement fund to service contracts. We generally use law enforcement fund to pay ahead for services for fingerprints done electronically, submitted to the state of Ohio, BCI&I, and the FBI. So the people come in, they pay us to do the fingerprints, and then we have to pay out. So money comes into one funds, we're transferring it out of law enforcement into service contracts to pay.
So specifically fingerprint expense.
Yeah, it's done regularly. It's not
Any comments? Committee's okay? Sixth item, $8,000 within the law enforcement fund for other services. Go ahead, Chief.
That's the same explanation. This is fund that we bring in the impound lot fees from into the goes into law enforcement trust fund. We pay Jays for all of the tows out of that fund, so it's in and out business. It's just to keep our level. It's a routine transfer.
Comments? Everybody okay? Seventh item, appropriate $4,000 for general fund office supplies. You're up again, Chief.
Okay, this one's kind of a new thing because we went on Mayor's suggestions, starting doing much more business with the Staples Advantage program. So therefore, a blanket purchase order was made for Staples. We have $3,897 in those two blanket POs to Staples and Charles Ritter that are encumbered but not spent. But because they're encumbered, that brings our balance on this fund to $184. We've only actually spent $3,000, but at the suggestion of Assistant Auditor Becky McComb, she said that I should make this legislative request and keep that fund viable and not go negative.
Comments? Okay. Under other items, apparently Heath Bay is alive and well. Sold a '78 John Deere tractor for $43.75 and a brush hog and lift kit for $661.55. Another distribution. The other items remain tabled, as you can see. Anything else for finance at this point? Okay, you're adjourned at 7:09.
John, David.
We do caucus real
Appreciate you sticking around.
Let's do caucus real quick and then we can take a 2-minute break. The invocation by Mr. Henry. Is that right? Okay. Do we need approval minutes? Election appointments, you got swearing in a firefighter program.
Correct.
You ready,
Yep.
Mayor? Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Special order finished petitions, committee reports, same as usual. Introduction of ordinances, 42, 2014, that cover the expenses of the Parade and Parks Department. Where did it come out of?
It was just
Okay.
my budget.
Oh, okay.
Probably most of it was in services, you know, like independent contractors.
Yeah.
Took in my budget, now we're reappropriating it back.
Oh, okay. You don't need a waiver or nothing like that.
Don't have to.
You know, on the boat.
All right, 43, repair the Greenwood Bridge. That's get that money transferred back for the rail. You need that waived.
I'd like to have that waived because I called that law and they said that could be done at any day.
Hopefully you do that, okay. Okay.
Better than just.
So 43, we're gonna waive for council members who didn't hear that or not.
What's that?
43, we're gonna waive. 42 will be held for a second. 43, we're gonna waive. 44, noise, that I need to.
That's not really a zoning ordinance, that's a
really
general.
It's a general offense.
All right, we're just gonna hold that, we'll hold that to a second reading.
Uh-huh.
And then 45, digital sign requirements, do I need that?
That's already been to the planning commission and they sent their requirements back, so public hearing for that.
Just public hearing?
Yeah.
How much time do you need public hearing?
For that one, I would give it,
We gotta wait 30 days?
yeah, you do to do it, so I would give it at least 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
So like 7:10 on. So we're gonna go into July then. How about we go all the way to the 21st?
That'd be fine.
That gives 30 days from now.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. So public hearing on that's gonna be, July 21st at 7:10 p.m. Hold on, okay. Ordinances on second reading, 37, the paving project, who wants to do that? Anybody want to do that one?
Yeah.
Okay. 38 is the, water line improvement. Dick, you wanna do that one?
Yes.
40, the pickup truck for the wastewater department truck. I guess that'd be you too, maybe Dick.
Yeah.
And 41, the hotel thing. Deb, is that gonna be you? And then resolutions first, second, there's none. Then we got reports and anything else. Anybody? Mayor, I got one question for you.
Sure.
Contract negotiations on stuff. Do we need to talk about any of that or anything like that?
Yes.
When, tonight, after, or?
Tonight would be great.
Okay. Executive session after, during miscellaneous?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, what are your intentions with 41?
I'm gonna make a motion to table.
That is?
That's it. Regardless, unless someone's got someone else.
Hey, Wayne.
I went down Saturday.
Oh.